Namaskara Bengaluru, Namaste India, good afternoon Asia. It's great to be back again to on the ITSM India podcast. So today we have a distinguished guest, and I'm really proud to have him represent India. Um, Let me give a brief introduction about our guest for today. Our guest for today is the IT operations manager for Amdocs APAC offices, managing primarily the PC and IT logistics, second level support teams spread across wide range of locations like Pune, Melbourne, Singapore, Manila, Jakarta, KL, and Beijing. He has led a global IT project across Americas, Europe, and APAC for certification of the Amdocs IT Service Desk, NOC, and second level support teams for ISO 20000 2011. And he has been a lean ambassador within the IT organization of Amdocs and has led two lean Kaizens in past year, right? And his whole lot of certifications that he has gone into the belt, like ISO 20000 lead auditor and 20000 2011 fully certified. And he has got the reputation of winning the Practitioner of the Year award um, in Pink 14. Please welcome Siddharth Shetty from Amdocs, who is going to be our guest. Good afternoon, Siddharth. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Suresh, and thank you for those kind words. I'm doing great. How are you all doing there?
Yeah, it's great. Nice to be in touch again. We met in Pune in the inauguration of the Pune chapter of ITSMF, so it's good to be back here. So we wanted to do a casual discussion of your whole process that went across in Ping 14. So can you just give us a big background of what is this Ping 14 nominations of Project of the Year, Practitioner of the Year? How did you know about it, and what were some of your thoughts when you decided to opt for the Practitioner of the Year proposal? Can you just give us some insight for viewers about this Ping 14 whole nomination itself?
All right. For the first time, when we heard about Pink Elephant, it was during one of our training sessions for ITIL service management modules. It was, I think, the continual service improvement module, where our trainer talked about Pink Elephant and the IT Excellence Awards that Pink Elephant gives away every year. We heard about it, and we left it at that. And then one fine day in November last year, one of my team members he stumbles upon the nomination process for Pink Elephant while he was looking up something else, and he brought it to my notice, and we were really fascinated that something like this does happen every year. And we saw for the nominations that were being received, and we felt we could make an impact with two specific nominations, which are to do with the IT Project of the Year and the IT Practitioner of the Year. So it was just 2 days left for the final date for submission of the nominations. So we filled in, to the best of our knowledge, the information in the desired format that Pink Elephant had designed. And we waited with our fingers crossed, hoping that something will come through in the days to follow. So I think it was the end of January when we received the mail from Pink Elephant announcing that our project nomination had made it to the IT Project of the Year category. And it of course felt great, and we're very proud to be there in that list, knowing that this award ceremony is in place for the last several years. So the nomination itself made it special for us. And after a few days, I also got a mail which stated that I was also shortlisted for the Practitioner of the Year category. So that was a double whammy for us, and it felt great to be nominated there. But from there on, there was the next level of selection process with the Pink Elephant jury, who connected with us over a conference call. And it was a tough process. They asked some really tough questions, but then this is not going to be easy anyways. So this is what I had convinced myself. And the Rob England actually at that point was interviewing me for the Practitioner of the Year award, and the conversations really went well, and I was optimistic about you know the Practitioner of the Year award since it talked about my own contributions, and that is something which you are more clear of. You know what you did, what you didn't, and answering those questions became fairly easy. So that ended the round where the Pink Elephant jury essentially questioned us on all our contributions for Project of the Year and Practitioner of the Year, and the final winner was supposed to be announced at the grand conference that Pink Elephant hosts every year in February, and this time it was in Las Vegas, and I was told if I could make it to the awards day, that would be great. So it was only when I landed there on the awards day that I got to know that we couldn't make it for the Project of the Year award, but I got the Practitioner of the Year award, and that was a great feeling when I heard my name being announced there as a winner.
Excellent and well deserved, Siddharth, on winning the Practitioner of the Year award. There are two distinct things that stand apart when during the whole scenario, right? One is Pink 14 process itself is quite a robust process in the way of evaluation and very structured way. And more importantly, the person who picked up the Practitioner of the Year, that is the IT skeptic, Rob England itself, means that this is a no mean achievement. So it is something which is worth applauding because he's a hard critic, and if he doesn't get convinced, and it's not very easy to convince Rob. So he's a guy, it's a hands-on guy. So that means that there is a lot amount of effort that has been put across to make this happen. So definitely well-deserved. Hearty congratulations, and you made all Indians proud on that. So hats off to you. Now coming specific to the Practitioner of the Year award and the experience that you had, what were some of the highlights and challenges, and how did it all go about? Because running across a program that is spread across geographies with a lot of cultural changes and process, implications, gaps, a lot of resistance. How did you make that happen? I mean, what was the whole process, and how did you go along, breaking the roadblocks in your journey to win the Practitioner?
Well, it was not easy for sure, and the IT Project of the Year, that we had submitted from Amdocs, that was the global certification for ISO 20000 2011 for Amdocs Global IT, which comprised of the service desk, the NOC, and the second level technical teams. That was one big item which was a contribution from my end. But when it came to the Practitioner of the Year award, there were some other contributory factors as well, like you mentioned earlier. I led 2 Lean Kaizens last year, which improved processes internally within the IT organization, and I also assisted the Amdocs Digital Services Division to improve processes within their organization based on ITIL 3.0. Beyond that, it was also to do with the Amdocs, supporting the Amdocs pre-sales team with some of our packaging some of our IT managed services offerings to our customers and adding an ITSM flavor to it. So rather than the sales deck looking something like a technical offering, I assisted the sales team to really reinvent their sales kit and add more ITSM flavor to it, which would make more sense to the management of customers, and they would not be bored with the typical technical deck that we usually come up with. So these were the 4 dimensions of contribution from my end: the global ISO 20000 certification, the Lean Kaizen, the 2 Lean Kaizens that I implemented, assisting the digital services team within Amdocs with the ITL process improvement, and finally assisting the pre-sales team, the sales team with creating the appropriate ITSM-based IT managed services sales kits.
Absolutely. I think you made a very fantastic point of putting your contributions into four dimensions, and I think that spelled out in all the discussions and when it came to evaluation. One of the things that also highlighted in the last time session was when they were kind of shortlisted, and I know that you put on this only the facts, no additional information and other stuff. But when it comes to, I know that there was another interview that happened through a con call or a Skype, I believe, which was a kind of a nightmare on that day because of some things. Just tell about that experience when you were supposed to, once it was shortlisted, when the questions were asked, and particularly from Rob, and that too on a unplanned, uneventful day. How did it go about? Can you just share those experience? I think that was very critical to hear from you of how it shaped actually the whole course.
Well, this was specifically to do with the session that Pink Elephant Jury had planned for IT Project of the Year, and it was on a Friday evening India time. And of course, once the time is set, you wouldn't want to go back to the jury and say that you would want to go for a different time. So I was on my way back from office. I kind of left office fairly early to be there on time to take this call from home, which was late evening India time. And on the way from office to home, my car had a breakdown, and it was one of the few things, Murphy's Law, which came into place really then. And I was able to get in touch with a friend who kind of helped me dropping me home. It was also my daughter's first birthday, if it was not any more challenging, and my wife had expected me to pick up the birthday cake on the way. So I also had to pick up the birthday cake, and there was a house full of guests that were waiting for me to get the birthday cake, and the cake itself was still kind of going its final finishing touches as I landed there. I knew that I was running out of time, so with whatever readiness that was there with the cake, I picked it up from the baker's place, and from there on I rushed to my place, and with a house full of visitors, I actually we managed to lay out the cake, and the cake cutting was done, and I ran back to my room to really get onto this call and be ready to face the music, so to say, from the judges panel. So by the time the call started, I just made it within 1 minute of the call, with the starting of the call, and when I think it was George Spalding from Pink Elephant who initiated that call, and I just made it on time there, and a lot of things are flying at the back of my mind at that stage, and then being bombarded with some really tough questions didn't make it easy. But as I look at it in hindsight, it all went well, and I'm glad things panned out the way they did.
Thanks, Siddharth. Actually, it was quite experience by itself, and that all coming at the last minute, moving those pieces quickly, and being able to keep that calm and composure while trying to do that is a big achievement. So that shows the sign of a true leader and in leading the team. Now, in terms of ISO IC 20000 2011, I mean, what are, and I know that a lot of postings on Back to ITSM and stuff like that, people asking about scope and other stuff. How do you think, even in terms of your recommendations and best practices in implementing ISO IC 20000 and going for a certification journey, what would be your best practice tips or high-level, best picks if we want to go for a successful journey? And that too, like you, spreading across different geographies, different cultures, and stuff like that. What would be some ways to think in mind or visualize before we get into this kind of stuff?
That's a very good question, and I would say the reason for us being able to complete this global project with very aggressive timelines was because right from the outset, our management team was very convinced that they wanted to take this direction. Unfortunately, I know that for a lot of people that I know in the industry, their management is not equally enthusiastic about adopting this certification. So for the first step would of course be to get your management team on board, and that's where all the dollars are going to come to fund this project, and they also will need to support the rest of the teams during the process itself. So number one is to ensure that your IT management team is convinced why you need to do this. That's number one. And thereafter, I think what most practitioners forget is in trying to go ahead with the certification process, they focus more on the process side and on the technology side. And as somebody who really likes working with people, I think people are the key element during this process or any transformation project. The people are what brings the technology and the process piece together. So I think we should focus primarily on how the people perceive such a project being undertaken by the organization, what are some of the apprehensions that they may have, and ensure that you are humble to their concerns, you are kind of open-minded about the challenges that they are trying to share with you, and you're also flexible to help them with the deadlines wherever possible. And finally, you should be able to show your willingness to go the extra mile to cover up for some of the things that they are struggling with. So it's really all about the people. The process and the tools to me really are secondary. Once you have the support of the people, this is going to be a success. So tag along with the people that are going to be involved. This is a top to bottom effort, and it doesn't work if you are just involving some key players, core team, so to say, as part of the project, and you're reaching out to the guys on the floor. Your objective should be to ensure that you reach out to each and every person that is in scope of the certification, and at least give them a high level picture of what they are about to experience and why the organization is doing this. Only then you should proceed further. So these are just some things at a high level which I feel are important when people are trying to go forward with a certification like this.
I think it's a very good way of portraying do's and don'ts and how this needs to be led as a successful journey, and make it more repeatable. Like we don't need heroics to be done, right? I mean, it's not sustainable, but we need to have a regular standard way of best practice that gets cascaded, and you actually leverage within your organization across geographies and make it noteworthy. So that's a very fair and a good takeaway, personally for me as well, about what needs to be done as an organization moving forward. Now, before Pink 14 Practitioner of the Year and after Pink 14 Practitioner of the Year, how have things changed for you in professional front? From an organization perspective, from your visibility towards a wider area of people, and also tell your experience after you got Pink 14 Practitioner of the Year. What are the other next steps that has been following up across? So just give us a background of how this award of Practitioner of the Year has transformed what Siddharth Shetty was before February 17th, 18th in 2014 and after that.
Well, the timing of this question is very crucial indeed, because when I appeared on the day of the award ceremony in Las Vegas to receive the Practitioner of the Year award, as you said earlier in my introduction, I was managing the PC second level support team and the IT asset management team all across APAC, and that was the core, that was my bread and butter. And what I was doing for ITSM and the certification effort was something on the side. Now, while all of that was happening, our IT management was in the process of reorganizing the way the IT was currently structured within Amdocs. So what the Pink Elephant Award did to me was my management team, they had the confidence to really say, hey, here is a guy who can do this full time. And we've seen even enough value coming from the certification process to allow somebody like Siddharth to really focus on this full time. So as it stands now, after the official announcements are done all across Amdocs IT at a global level, I've been asked to lead the ITSM effort across global IT, and I'm in charge of what I've named as the Service Management Office. That was also one of the queries that I posted on back to ITSM. What should a team like this be called? And I think we came up with a good term called the Service Management Office to really represent the kind of transformation activities that we are trying to do under the umbrella of ITSM. So, in short, it has definitely changed the perception, I think the competence assessment about me, and therefore I am in this position to lead the global ITSM efforts for Amdocs Global IT now.
Fantastic, and you made a very important point in the whole of the process, right? And when you start something as a quality initiative, so we have been from the traditional ISO 9000 days talk about quality management, quality as a function, and more importantly, try to bucket all the frameworks, right? Be it ISO 9000, CMI for services, or CMI for dev, and now with Lean, Six Sigma, and other stuff. Quality was not really a term to be stuff, and then now you have termed as Service Management Office. So how has been the intake when you coined the term Service Management Office, and then the whole team underneath you working towards that? So are everybody clear about Service Management Office, what they're going to bring across? I mean, across the different portfolios and business units, are they in alignment with Service Management Office? How did they take it up when you actually presented this to your senior management and executive council about this term called Service Management Office replacing the traditional quality function?
Well, first of all, they really like that. They really like the word of it. They liked the word Service Management Office, and it definitely did not sound anywhere close to IT quality or whatever you would have liked to call it in the past. One of the challenges that I faced with the ISO certification also was trying to where people were trying to look at process improvements as something which was fairly boring to do, because we are all technical people, and we don't need processes. We know how things need to how things need to be done on the technical side, so we don't need processes. So my whole objective was to make this entire ITSM animal very beautiful to look at, and it will all come with my own passion for this area. And unless I am energetic about what I'm doing, unless I am convinced what I'm doing, I cannot really pass on the same energy to the people that I'm working with. So as I said, the organization changes itself. They are just a couple of weeks old, and we are still in the stage where we are forming up our work plans, and some budgetary requirements that we'll face. Those are things that we are working on right now. But my immediate management is very happy with this term of Service Management Office, and they have high hopes with some of the deliverables that we are planning as part of this group.
Great.
And
excellent.
I just like to hear that being used to managing large teams so far in my career, this shift to full-fledged ITSM career, I'm working with a very small and tight team right now, or maybe about 5 to 6 people. That's a first for me. But each one of these people are, specialists in their own areas, and they are really committed to what they want to do. And this is what really attracted me to ITSM, because ITSM has the capacity where an individual can really transform a big section of the organization, and on your own you can really bring about transformative change across your business units, across your IT units, and that is something that really excites me.
Excellent. I think that's really inspires, because it talks about transformation, and then in real term, what does Service Management Office was, and as you rightly mentioned, if the leader is quite passionate and energetic about the whole concept and what kind of value it could give to not only the business end customers and better satisfaction, I think everybody will jump into the bandwagon. And as you rightly said, you need to have a leader who could inspire in an open, transparent manner, collaborating all these efforts to take it in the right direction. And you strongly advocate IT service management is an aspect to it, and that has actually helped to achieve the transformation that you're talking about. So it's really heartening to hear. And how much of insights that you receive from from some of the social media and stuff like Back to ITSM or LinkedIn forums, which are the things that you think are providing good quality discussions as part of you looking at some of these aspects? What are some of the recommended resources that people can opt for to learn and exchange views in terms of, let's say, taking service, the adaptive service model, service management congress, and stuff like that is happening around? What would be your, 2 or 3 resources that someone who is aspiring to go beyond the idle books and want to be a practitioner, and he cannot spend the whole life just experimenting on his own, but want to leverage from the best practice which is available as a community? What would be 2 to 3 resources that you would recommend to go and seek knowledge?
So I think there are multiple things that anybody can do here to get this information. One is to look at the various ITSMF chapters that we have across the globe, and each one of them have their own value adds in terms of the way the information is shared, the kind of discussions that are happening there. So subscribe to any one of the chapters that you like, and you'll receive information from there. Back to ITSM is again a Facebook group on Facebook with some really passionate ITSM professionals. A lot of them have inspired me for sure in the short span that I've been part of it. I've just been part of Back to ITSM for about 2 months now, but it has really provided a great learning experience to me, and really understand how diverse this area can be, and you cannot limit it to a few set of definitions. So Back to ITSM is the second option, and the third option is there are quite a few LinkedIn groups which also provide great source of knowledge, and I am subscribed to specifically groups that are dedicated to the ISO 20000 standard, as well as a few ITIL version 3.0 specific groups. That's the third option. And finally, I would say there are some individuals which really allow you to think in a different way how you approach this field, and you'd like to follow blogs of such people. And so Rob England's blog, the IT Skeptics blog, is something that I follow regularly, and it does definitely give me a different perspective of how things can be perceived, how things can be addressed, and some of the existing challenges that we have in this area, and some of the ways that we can take up to address those issues. So personal blogs of people, you may choose. I mentioned Rob England. You may have your own preferences. Just keep an eye on what they are saying. It's coming out right from their experiences, right from their heart. And what better way to get that information than seeing it right up there in their personal blogs. So these are the 4 avenues really, which I feel provide great information, and you don't need to look any further beyond these 4 avenues.
Absolutely, great information. So you talked about looking at ITSMF chapters of the respective countries where they have a host lot of information, white papers, case studies, and stuff like that. And you talked about Back to ITSM as an excellent resource. In Facebook, within 2 months of time, a great experience. And we talked about LinkedIn forums where you have the specific groups like ITIL V3 or ISO IC 20000 and stuff like that. You also mentioned about some personal blogs like the IT Skeptic blog. There are also a few blogs that I know, like Core ITSM by James Finister. Some of the journals like the ITSM Review have got host lot of articles that talks about various aspects, and of course Shift has its also a dedicated space where you can actually post articles, and they're of great value. And as we see a lot of retweets happening around, we also know that this is on demand, and then we go across and talk on these factors. So that's a great lot of information. Last couple of questions before we wind up. You are also now an ITSMF India chapter member, and we did get yourself enrolled when we met in the Pune chapter. So how do you see the scope of ITSMF India chapter, and what you have seen and what you have heard? What do you think the roadmap looks like, and what are your thoughts to improve that and provide value to the whole ITSM community, right? And what's your candid thoughts, so that I can also get some insights from people who are as part of on the recipient end?
So first of all, all thanks to you. The chapter is revived, as we know, as we heard that day, that this chapter, the India chapter, was in existence for quite a few years, going way back to I think 2007, but not much was happening there. And we now see an attempt, majorly driven by you, to get people on board and drive forward with more vigor towards this chapter. So that is great. Now, in terms of the roadmap and what to expect, I think all numbers, all research, and a lot of lot of the things that we see on the internet point to a fact that India really is growing big time when it comes to the adoption of IT service management. There are literally thousands of professionals who are doing this full time, and it's rather surprising that we didn't see much traction in the earlier years, and I'm very convinced that with the right amount of branding, with the right amount of publicity, we can reach out to that fairly large pool of ITSM professionals who can not only learn from the ITSMF India chapter, but can also contribute significantly towards its enrichment. As we decided in the last meeting, we have identified the core team to drive forward some of the functions of the India chapter in the months to come. I look forward to regular meetings. I look forward to regular events where I can participate, where I can contribute whatever I can in my capacity, and just being around in this ecosystem of like-minded professionals is great, and that's where ITSMF India chapter does provide us that infrastructure, or rather that excuse, to hang around, and share information with each other. That person-to-person interaction really is great, which is much better than going through any book or trying to understand something over the internet. And I hope ITSMF chapter grows from strength to strength over the next few years, and I'll do whatever best I can from my side. I'm fully committed to the India chapter, and I hope better things will come out in the months to come.
Excellent, Siddharth. I think it gives us momentum. Thanks for that thing that we are making some progress in terms of reviving India chapter and making some tangible benefits to our community. And as you rightly said, nothing beats the face-to-face interaction, right? We might have host of things on an internet and the virtual calls and stuff like that, but the human touch and ability to share a hearty laugh as we try to brainstorm and discuss and debate and even catch hold of each other for some specific topic, being passionate, gives us the urge to expand our horizons and give us the kind of insights to take it as a value proposition, right? So that is there. And final, before we go, we had a great session so far in terms of your experience and how you went through the whole process, your thoughts on ITSMF chapter and ability to tap into resources. What are some of the few tips that you would give for someone who wants to be a practitioner? Because today there are a lot of people who are ITIL expert certified, and the numbers are only increasing day by day, right? But the certifications don't mean the proficiency or the experience, go hand in hand. So if someone was aspiring to be a practitioner who could just provide value in terms of providing services or products or whatever it is, we have a whole lot of service definition being taken by Stuart Rans and team yesterday. But at the overall, what do you think would be some key aspects to look if someone wants to be a practitioner more than anything else in terms of in IT service management?
So I think first and foremost, it goes back to the point that I mentioned earlier. You need to have the passion for this area. It's not necessarily something that will buy you lunch for the next day. Of course, it will buy you lunch over a period of time, but that should not be the sole motivation for getting to this area. You should be really passionate about working with people, trying to send support opportunities in the way things are happening at the in the current setup of the organization or elsewhere. I think one of the things that I've realized with reaching out to several forums and social media related to IT service management, I see that uh, people might get confused with the various connotations that are being bounced about in these various forums and platforms, which question the fundamentals of ITSM. So, what I would like the practitioner to focus on is really understand the key definitions and the key processes, so to say, that IT service management tries to talk about. You have to understand that, and that may mean going back to the basics, trying to pick up books on ITIL version 3.0, and that investment is really worthwhile when you consider the future. And first, get your fundamentals clear about this whole concept, rather than being confused by a lot that is out there on the internet, and form your own opinion. You should be able to form your own opinion. You may be wronged over a period of time, but you'll learn from it definitely if you have that opinion. And be open-minded. There's a lot that you can learn outside, but don't get carried away with everything. See what best suits your environment. See, there are some challenges that we have with budgets as well. So when you plan to propose something to management, try to estimate if this is really worthwhile, and how would you want to package this to them. Will It should not be a rocket, to the moon when you talk about the budget to your IT management. You want to implement something, so be sensitive on those things as well. And I think it's all about being pragmatic and communicating effectively with people, and the ability to sense opportunities for improvements over a period of time. So these are some broad thoughts that I would share for somebody who wants to take up the practitioner role full time. And the point that I made earlier about people, be sensitive to people, and they are not some things in the office that you can roll over and start out your aggressive ITSM plans. So be sensitive to their needs as well, and you should be good.
Excellent, and you made two things which actually stole my heart. Was back to basics. It's not important to build castles. Be very strong in your fundamentals and go back to your basics. So again, if you look at the Twitter chat, Big Four, back to basics, ITSM of UK is strongly advocating that. So it actually lingers to the point that you need to be very strong in basics. So there's a lot of interest and involvement on back to basics part. And the second part that you highlighted in the whole episode is being pragmatic, right? Being open, and the people element. We are talking a lot about organizational change, management of organizational change. We're talking about organizational diversity and other stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not process. It's not about tools. It's not about products. It's more about the people factor that makes a huge difference in the way of make or break, right? I mean, you don't need to have a talented team. You don't need to have a talented team, but you need to have like-minded people who can join for a purpose of making it happen. So that serves a strong message of being focusing on back to basics, focus on people, being sensitive to their emotions, being empathetic, and then starting to carry on this journey will have a holistic way of accomplishing things. So great thoughts, great things, and I'm sure that our viewers have had some plenty of takeaways from talking with the practitioner of the award. It's a no-brainer why they gave you a practitioner of the award, because anything that you spoke was very pragmatic, very clear, concise, and probably also keeps us motivated to read some of the blogs from the IT Skeptic, and also exchange and discussions. And we will definitely do our best to promote ITSM of India and also showcase individuals like you and people who can create an impact for people to also follow the footsteps. So thanks a lot, Siddharth, for your valuable time, sharing your thoughts and perspective. Any final comments, thoughts before we wind up for today's podcast?
I think it was great to have this discussion, and it really re-emphasized the points that I had in my mind about this whole area of IT service management. As final thoughts, I would just go on to say that as a community, as the IT service management community, there are a whole lot of people outside this ecosystem of the blogs, the forums that we have who are not really aware of the kind of systems that we have in place. For example, when I went to Ping 14, I was really blown away by the kind of there were about 1,500 ITSM professionals under the same roof, and that really blew me because I hadn't seen an event of that scale, and it really told me what I was missing for the last couple of years, trying to get my head straight in IT service management. So we as a community need to ensure that there is sufficient visibility about the various options that aspiring IT service management professionals can reach out to. That level of branding is a duty that we need to take upon ourselves to really let everybody know that this is really a thriving kind of a community which go out to help each other and always strive for excellence by working together with each other. Those are my final words.
Thanks a lot, Siddharth. It's pretty enlightening today, and I'm sure that all the viewers in India and abroad who are listening to this podcast will be thrilled to hear from a practitioner, very concrete, very precise into what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and how do we take it forward. So we hope that the viewers had a good takeaway from this, and we personally thank Siddharth to take out your time in spite of a schedule and come and speak with us. And we'll definitely do something from the ITSM of India side as well as through the India podcast to showcase professionals who are behind the scenes, who are working day and night to make the operations better, right? I mean, those guys are brave soldiers who are hogging the limelight actually, and who are the face of the entire organization. So service desk, the support staff who are actually behind the scene running operations are the people whom we should bring in limelight. And one of the reasons that we are doing as part of this ITSM India podcast is to showcase those professionals, their perspectives, their thoughts, and inspire the whole community to aspire for being wherever you are. In spite of whatever resources that you have, you can still inspire and lead a team by your sheer excellence in work, right? So that's what also inspires me to have these discussions. Fantastic day and fantastic time here. I'm just heading back to the ITSM of Bangalore chapter even after just call, but looks promising, and we look forward to seeing you more winning accomplishments. Again, well-deserved award, and you made all Indians proud. Thanks a lot, Siddharth.
Thank you, Suresh. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
So that brings up the wraparound for today's ITSM India podcast. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will come back to you again next month with another episode. Until then, stay tuned. Thanks a lot. This is your host, Suresh GP. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.